I'll be explaining every single fighter subclass in D&D. If you want to see a video for other subclasses, subscribe and let me know what subclass to do in the comments below. Arcane Archer is a subclass if you want to play a ranged fighter with just a touch of magic. This subclass uses an elven method of archery that imbues your attacks with magic to produce supernatural effects, basically magical snipers. At level 3, you get two features, Arcane Archer Lore and Arcane Shot. Arcane Archer Lore lets you choose proficiency in either Arcana or Nature, and you get a choice of two cantrips between Prestidigitation or Druidcraft. Arcane Shot is going to be your bread and butter for this subclass. You get a choice of two Arcane Shot options, which I'm going to be going over later. Once per turn, you get one application of the Arcane Shot to this arrow, and you can use it when the arrow hits. You get two uses of this per long rest, and you get more options at these levels here. In my opinion, I think these uses should go up a bit as you level up. Now I'm gonna rapid fire off every Arcane Shot variant. Feel free to skip this part, I've left timestamps in the video below. Get ready. Banishing Arrow. Literally banish a creature until the end of its next turn. Absolutely massive for bosses. You hit someone so hard with an arrow that they just leave the plane of existence for 6 seconds. Beguiling Arrow. Cause a creature to take 2d6 psychic damage and be charmed by one of your allies. I'm kinda confused on the allies part of this. Why not just make it be charmed by you? It's like a Cupid arrow. Bursting Arrow. Your target and everyone around it take 2d6 force damage. This goes up by 2 dice when you get to level 18. Good luck on that one though. Big AoE shot, one of the top ones. Enfeebling Arrow. Deal an extra 2d6 necrotic damage and your enemy deals half damage if they fail a save until the start of your next turn. It's okay if you have a boss on the field, but otherwise it's pretty mediocre. Grasping Arrow. You basically put them in a spike growth spell, but it's following them around. They become slowed by 10 feet, and each time they move, they take 2d6 damage unless they take away the magical vines grappling them. Damage increase at level 18. Decent single target damage and can fuck up the enemy's action economy. Piercing Arrow. You make a 30 feet long line with your arrow, and anyone it passes takes 1d6 damage. The most dogshit Arcane Shot in my opinion. Dogshit, you are bad. Seeking Arrow. If you've ever seen Guardians of the Galaxy, think of the guy who whistles and his arrow just becomes a homing missile. Well, you can do that with any creature you've seen in the past minute, ignoring any cover other than total cover and dealing an extra 1d6 piercing damage and making you learn its location. Kinda meh for something you can only do twice per day. Shadow Arrow. You deal an extra 2d6 psychic damage to the enemy and make him unable to see anything past 10 feet away until the start of your next turn. Very useful for disabling enemies. And that's all of them. Now on to 7th level. You get two things at 7th level. Magic Arrow and Curving Shot. Magic Arrow is massive if your campaign doesn't like to give out magical items often. It makes every arrow you shoot magical for overcoming resistances, but it loses its magic once it lands on or off its target. Curving Shot makes it so when you miss a shot on a creature, you can use a bonus action to reroll the attack against a different creature within 60 feet of the original one. Could be useful in a boss battle to combat minions, along with regular combats where there are a lot of enemies. Finally, at level 15, you get the Ever Ready Shot, which is a hit or miss depending on what kind of campaign you have. If you roll initiative and have no arcane shots remaining, you regain one use of this. This is absolutely useless if you're in a campaign that likes to have one big battle between long rests, but it's pretty good if you're doing small, multiple skirmishes with enemy forces. The Banneret subclass is Wizards of the Coast's attempt to make a support fighter. This subclass focuses on inspiring and being the face of the party, something like the Commissars from Warhammer, but inspiring instead of frightening to its allies in battle. At level 3, you get Rallying Cry. When you use your second wind feature, 3 allies within 60 feet of you that can hear or see you heal themselves for whatever your fighter level is. It's alright, I guess? Nah, it's kinda mediocre. Level 7 grants you Royal Envoy, giving you proficiency in the Persuasion skill and doubling your proficiency with any ability check that uses Persuasion. If you're in desperate need for a face of the party, then this level up is kinda alright. At level 10, you get Inspiring Surge, and whenever you use your Action Surge feature, you choose one ally to make a melee or ranged weapon attack with its reaction. At level 18, this becomes 2 allies. Finally, you get Bulwark at 15th level, and when you use an Indomitable feature to reroll a failed Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma save, one of your allies rerolls the save as well. This entire subclass just feels like a fighter with no subclass doing a little bit of extra things while having no real benefit to himself. The Battlemaster subclass is for the chess players of D&D who think they're playing Warhammer. This subclass utilizes maneuvers to amp up your attacks and buff your teammates using superiority dice. When you choose this subclass at 3rd level, you learn maneuvers that you can use as long as you have a pool of these superiority dice that increase as you level up. You learn 3 of these maneuvers that use d8s, and you regain them on a short or long rest. The saving throw of these dice is 8 plus your proficiency bonus and either your strength or dexterity modifier. I'll be going through all of the maneuvers at the end of this segment as there are a lot. You also get proficiency with one type of artisan's tool of your choice. Okay, I guess? At level 7, you're able to observe a creature for 1 minute and determine if the creature is better, equal, or inferior to you in regards to 2 of these things: strength, dexterity, constitution, armor class, current hit points, total class levels, or fighter class levels. Pretty useful in a sandbox campaign where there's a possibility of encountering things that are wildly more powerful than you. At level 10, your superiority dice increase from D8s to D10s, and also at level 18, they turn into D12s. Pretty big. The final feature you get is Relentless at 15th level. When you roll initiative but have no superiority dice remaining, you regain 1 back. This is a pretty chill feature. I like it. Oh god, now for all the Battlemaster maneuvers. I'll be giving quick descriptions of them. If you want to see the full ones, feel free to pause the video and read them out from the screenshots. Ambush lets you increase your initiative roll. Bait and Switch lets you switch places with an ally and increase either you or the creature's armor class. Brace is the opposite of the Attack of Opportunity, basically the Polearm Master feat. Commander Strike lets you order an ally to attack. Commanding Presence lets you increase a charisma-based check like Persuasion. Disarming Attack lets you do exactly what the title says, disarm somebody. Distracting Strike lets your ally have advantage on the next attack roll against an enemy. Evasive Footwork lets you increase your armor class until you stop moving. Fainting Attack lets you have advantage on your next attack against an enemy. Goading Attack makes it so your enemy can only hit you, and if it doesn't, it has disadvantage on its attacks. Grappling Strike gives you the chance to grapple a creature after an attack. Lunging Attack increases your weapon's range. Maneuvering Attack allows your allies to move half their speed as a reaction. Parry decreases the damage dealt to you. Precision Attack increases your attack roll. Pushing Attack lets you push a creature 15 feet away. Quick Toss lets you throw a weapon as a bonus action. Rally gives your allies temporary HP. Riposte lets you counterattack a creature with your reaction. Sweeping Attack lets you damage a nearby creature along with the original one. Tactical Assessment lets you increase an intelligence or wisdom check. And Trip Attack gives you the opportunity to make a creature prone. And that is the Battlemaster. Cavalier is the de facto choice if you want to do every combat on some type of mount. At level 3, you can choose a proficiency between animal handling, history, insight, performance, or persuasion, or just learn an additional language. You also get Born to Saddle, which makes it harder for you to fall off your mount. And mounting or dismounting costs 5 feet of movement instead of half your total movement. A third feature you get at this level is Unwavering Mark, which lets you mark a creature once you hit it with a melee attack. This makes its attacks have disadvantage unless it is hitting you, and you can attack it with a bonus action next turn with advantage if it attacks somebody else. You can do this a number of times equal to your strength modifier per long rest. 7th level gives you Warding Maneuver, which allows you to add AC to an ally that's getting hit by an attack. If it still hits though, your ally has resistance to that damage. Pretty good support feature. At 10th level, you basically get a more potent Sentinel feat with Hold the Line. You can make any creature's movement speed 0 when they move 5 feet while within your range with a reaction attack. At 15th level, even if you're mounted or not, if you move 10 feet in a straight line towards an enemy before you attack, they gotta make a strength saving throw or be knocked prone. Your final feature is at 18th level, and it's called Vigilant Defender, which is basically like an unlimited legendary action. At the end of every creature's turn, except for yours, you can just make an opportunity attack. Very potent, but again, good luck getting to level 18. Champion is a classic subclass. If you're just picking up fighter and want to learn, this one's for you. Like the grilled cheese of fighters, you really can't go wrong with it. At level 3, you're able to land a critical hit on a natural 19 as well as a 20, effectively doubling your chances of doing double damage. 7th level gives you Remarkable Athlete, which lets you use your proficiency bonus for any physical check you don't already have a proficiency bonus in. At 10th level, you're also able to choose a second option from the fighting style class feature. That is just the base fighter thing. I am not explaining all the fighting styles. I mean, look at this list. 15th level gives you Superior Critical, which lets you crit on an 18 now. Combined with your multiple attacks, this has primo damage potential. 18th level just gives you free HP equal to 5 plus your Constitution modifier at the start of your turn, but only if you have less than half your total hit points. A very good survivability feature. Echo Knight is for fighters who looked at reality and said, what if I just split myself into 2? This subclass is pretty wild. It plays and sounds kinda weird, but absolutely slaps when used right. Level 3 gives you Manifest Echo and Unleash Incarnation. With Manifest Echo, you can summon a ghostly clone of yourself, and it fights right alongside with you. It has 1 HP, immunity to all conditions, and you can use it to attack from its position instead of yours. Also, you can teleport to its location as a bonus action. Because fuck walking, right? It also allows you to make an attack of opportunity with it using your reaction. Unleash Incarnation lets you have your Echo make an additional melee attack along with your attack, but you can only do this a number of times equal to your Constitution modifier. Level 7 gets you Echo Avatar. which allows you to send your echo up to 1,000 feet away, and you can see and hear through its ears. This is a good spying feature, but other than that, it can't really be used for anything else. With Shadow Martyr at level 10, you can use your reaction to have an attack target your echo instead of an ally. Level 15 gives you a good HP regaining feature called a Reclaim Potential. When your echo gets destroyed, you get some temporary hit points a number of times equal to your Constitution modifier per long rest. Your final feature is called Legion of One, which lets you create another echo, and when you roll initiative and don't have any Unleash Incarnations left, you regain 1. Eldritch Knight is for fighters that also want to cast spells, the opposite of Bladesinger wizards. You get a spellcasting table as shown here, and they use your intelligence modifier for them. These spells can only be used from the Abjuration and Evocation spells, but at higher levels they can come from any school of magic. The first feature you get is called Weapon Bond, which makes you unable to be disarmed with a weapon you magically spend an hour being bonded to, along with magically summoning it with a bonus action. Level 7 ups your damage output a bit and gives you War Magic. Once you use an action to cast a cantrip, you make a weapon attack as a bonus action. Level 10 gives you Eldritch Strike, which gives a creature disadvantage on the next saving throw it makes against the spell you cast, after you've already hit it with a weapon attack. Level 15 gives you a buff to your action surge. You can teleport up to 30 feet away once you've used it. The last feature you get is called Improved War Magic at level 18, which lets you make an attack with a bonus action when you cast a spell in general, not just the cantrip. It kind of feels to me like this is what some classes did 10 levels ago. Psi Warrior is what happens when the fighter decides, yeah, I kind of want to throw people across the room with my brain. It gives you additional things to do with your mental stats along with your regular abilities. At 3rd level, you get Psionic Power, which gives you psionic energy dice that allow you to amplify your combat capabilities, and the dice of your power increase as you level up. The powers are as follows. Protective Field. Reduce the damage dealt to one of your allies by creating a shield around them. Psionic Strike. Increase your damage once you hit a creature with a weapon attack. And Telekinetic Movement. This lets you move an object or willing creature other than yourself up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space. At level 7, you get 2 more telekinetic abilities. Psi-Powered Leap that lets you gain a flying speed double of your walking speed until the end of your next turn. And Telekinetic Thrust that can move or knock prone a target once you deal damage to it with your Psionic Strike. Level 10's feature is Guarded Mind, and the ability to remove the charmed or frightened condition on yourself. Level 15, you get an ability to protect a lot of allies, called Bulwark of Force. You can target a number of creatures to be protected by half cover for 1 minute, which is basically +2 to armor class and dexterity saving throws. Your final feature is Telekinetic Master at level 18, which lets you cast telekinesis as an action at will, and you get to keep making weapon attacks with your bonus action while you do so. Rune Knight is a subclass where you use the power of giant runes to help you in combat. At level 3, you gain proficiency in Smith's tools and can read, speak, and write in Giant. You also get Rune Carver, which lets you inscribe runes onto objects. The number of objects you can inscribe goes up with your level. I'll be describing all of them at the end of the segment. A third feature you get is Giant's Mind, which can increase your size, strength, and damage for 1 minute. You can use this a number of times equal to your proficiency modifier. 7th level lets you Runic Shield, which allows you to make an attacker reroll his dice and use the new roll. This also extends to any creature within 60 feet of you. 10th level gives you Great Stature, which is one of the oddest features I've ever seen. You roll 3d4 and then grow a number of inches equal to it in height. Okay. And extra damage is dealt with your Giant's Might. At level 15, you get Master of Runes, which means you can engrave 2 items per long rest instead of 1. Finally, at level 18, you get Runic Juggernaut, dealing extra damage with your Giant's Might, and when you use that feature, instead of large, you become huge, increasing your reach by 5 feet more. Here's a description of all the runes available to you. Cloud. Make an enemy attack another target instead of its original one, additionally giving you advantage on sleight of hand and deception checks. Fire. Double proficiency with a tool you inscribe, and when you hit an enemy, it both takes damage each turn and is restrained by fiery shackles. Frost. +2 bonus to all strength and constitution ability and saving throws, along with advantage on animal handling and intimidation checks. Stone. Advantage on insight checks, dark vision up to 120 feet, and the ability to charm a creature when it ends its turn 30 feet away from you. Hill. Resistance against poison damage and being poisoned, along with being resistant to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. Storm. Advantage on Arcana checks and the ability to have creatures reroll their attack ability checks and saving throws with advantage or disadvantage. Samurai is for the fighters who want to cosplay as a disciplined, honorable warrior, but also secretly want to roll a concerning number of d20s. You get 2 things at level 3, bonus proficiency and fighting spirit. Bonus proficiency gives you proficiency in history, insight, performance, or persuasion. If you want none of these ones though, you can just learn a new language. Fighting spirit makes all of your attacks on the current turn get advantage, while at the same time giving you extra temporary HP. This can happen 3 times before you gotta rest. Level 7 gives you Elegant Courtier, which gives you a bonus to persuasion checks and wisdom saving throws. At level 10, you get Tireless Spirit. When you roll initiative and have no uses of fighting spirit, you regain 1. Your second to last feature is Rapid Strike at level 15, which grants you an additional attack against the target if you forego having advantage on your attack with the fighting spirit. With an action surge, you can be hitting for up to 12 attacks per round. Absolutely nuts ability. Your final feature is Strength Before Death at level 18. If you're reduced to 0 HP during your turn, you can use your reaction to keep going and have an extra turn. You can still be killed by failing 3 death saves during this, but after you finish a turn, you fall unconscious if not healed. That is every single subclass for fighter in D&D 5e. Let me know if you want a primer for the other classes in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel for more, and to whoever's still watching, have yourself a good one.